ever really wondered what a career as an electrical engineer looks like over, say, 30 years? We're going to break it all down, from the job titles and what you actually do to the salaries you can expect along the way. Let's get into it. Okay, so you've got that shiny new degree, but what does an electrical engineer actually do day to day? Are you going to be stuck behind a desk all day, or are you going to be out in the field getting your hands dirty with real hardware? Well, it's a huge spectrum, and we're about to map the whole thing out for you. You know, the best way I've heard this described? Think of your career like a classic strategy game, something like Age of Empires. You start out small, gathering resources. Then you use those resources to build up your skills and your expertise. And finally, you become a master of the game. It's a perfect way to look at the journey ahead. All right, let's dive right in. Level 1, your first 3 years. This is what we're calling the gathering resources phase. This is you fresh out of college, stepping into that very first role. So here's the game plan we're going to follow. First up, the entry-level phase. That's years 0 to 3. Then we'll level up to the mid-level pro stage. And finally, we'll hit the big one, the senior expert level, which is usually 10 or more years into your career. Okay, in these first few years, you have one mission, and one mission only. Be a sponge. Seriously, your company knows you're new. They don't expect you to come in and redesign the entire power grid on day one. What they do expect is for you to absorb everything, to learn the technical skills, to fight with the simulation software until it finally works, to ask good questions, and to prove you can get things done on time. So what does that learning look like in practice? Well, it's this constant dance between desk work and field work. At your desk, you'll be deep in CAD software, running simulations, and writing up those technical reports. But you'll also get out into the lab to test that first prototype, you'll go to construction sites to see your designs become reality, and you'll get to debug systems with your own 2 hands. So, for all that hard work, all that resource gathering, what can you expect? Well, in a typical US city, you're looking at a starting salary somewhere between $60,000 and $90,000. And hey, that's just the base salary. It's a really solid foundation to start building your empire on. Okay, so you've gathered your resources. You've survived the early game. Now it's time for level 2, becoming a mid-level pro. This is where you stop just learning the basics and start building some serious, specialized expertise. And this is where something really cool happens. Have you heard of the 10,000-hour rule? It's the idea that it takes about, you guessed it, 10,000 hours of practice to really master something. Well, if you're working full-time, you hit that 10,000-hour mark right around your 5th year. And that's not a coincidence. It's the exact point where you really start to transform into a highly skilled engineer. And you'll feel this change in your day-to-day work. You're not just following instructions anymore. You're actually starting to lead small projects yourself. You're developing this deep knowledge in your niche, whether it's RF design or substation protection. And now, you're the one that the new hires look up to, passing on everything you've learned. And with that bigger responsibility comes a bigger paycheck. This is usually the career stage where you'll sail past that $100,000 mark, which is a pretty great testament to the value of the expertise you've built up. All right, you've built your city, you've upgraded your tech tree, now it's time for the end game. Level 3, mastering the game as a senior level expert. We're talking 10+ years in, where you become a true authority. At this stage, you are the person. The technical authority, the one making the huge calls on massive, complex projects that have major consequences. Your name is the one on the official drawings, and when a client has a really tough question, you're the one they call. You are basically the source of technical truth for your team. But here's the thing about being a senior expert. It's not just about being a technical wizard anymore. Suddenly, things like project management, long-term strategic planning, and mentoring whole teams, it all lands on your plate. Your judgment, your decision-making, and your ability to communicate complex ideas simply, that becomes just as important, if not more important, than analyzing a circuit diagram. Okay, no matter what level you're playing at, you need a solid toolkit, right? So let's do a quick fire round and look at the essential software and a modern electrical engineer's arsenal. First up, the absolute essentials, circuit design and simulation. We're talking about tools like LTSpice or Altium Designer. These let you build and test your circuits in a virtual world, making sure your design for, say, a new EV battery management system is perfect before you even think about ordering physical parts. Next, you'll need to create those super detailed schematics and wiring diagrams. That's where electrical CAD software comes in. Think of something like AutoCAD Electrical, which can help you automate the layout of a crazy complex industrial control panel. It saves you just hours and hours of tedious work. Now, if you're in the power industry, you'll be living inside specialized analysis software. Tools like ETOP or PSIM are absolutely critical for running things like load flow studies, which help make sure an entire city's power grid doesn't collapse during a massive heat wave. And finally, data analysis and programming. MATLAB and Python are the workhorses here for all kinds of complex calculations. But then you have something like LabVIEW, which is fantastic for automating tests in the lab. It lets you control all the instruments and collect data from a new sensor prototype while you go grab a cup of coffee. All right. So you've got the blueprint, you know the levels, you've seen the tools. Now it's all about building your empire. So let's just quickly recap the game plan, right? Stage 1, gather your resources, be a sponge. Stage 2, build your expertise, crush that 10,000-hour milestone. And Stage 3, master the game and become that senior-level leader who's engineering the future. From microchips to the power grid, electrical engineers are literally building the world of tomorrow. This career path, it's a marathon. It's a strategy game that you play out over decades. So the real question isn't just what will you do, it's what will you build.